Hello everyone, welcome back. In today's session, we are going to see various kind of variation in Java for loop syntax. So whatever the syntax till now we have seen, that is very much common in among all the websites and among all the Java developers and all. But that syntax is not a hardcore syntax that we need to must follow. Okay, there are a lot of things are there which we can change in this syntax. Okay, so before going to actual session, we will see what is the commonly used syntax. So as per this commonly used syntax, first we need to do initialization. Second phase we have to do condition check, and in third we have to do increment and decrement. And after that we have to provide body of a loop. But there is no restriction in Java that we need to follow this standard. But it means is this initialization, if we want we can do here, or if we don't want we can skip this part. Similar cases for increment and decrement variable. So we will see now which kind of variation we can make in this syntax. If you see here for this initialization and this increment and decrement, these two statements we can replace with a valid Java statement. Okay, but it means is instead of initialization, if we want we can leave it as empty, or if we want we can initialize a string variable here, or we can put even SOUT statement here. Okay, so these kind of variations we will see later in examples, but just keep in mind initialization and increment and decrement can be replaced with any valid Java statement. Now, but what condition? So this condition part can be replaced with any valid Java expression, but that expression should return Boolean value. Okay, this is clear till now. By keeping this syntax in mind, we will see various kind of examples and we will try to understand whether that syntax is valid or not valid. If it is not valid, why it is not valid. Okay, if we see here, we have various examples here. We will discuss this first example. In this example, what I did, I haven't provided initialization as well as condition and increment and decrement. I simply provided one SOUT statement. For loop I left completely empty. So what will happen in this case? First, if we see first one, as I told earlier, this can be any valid Java statement. Empty statement is valid Java statement. Yes. So it means this increment decrement variable and initialization is valid. But what middle part? As we told earlier, it should be an Boolean value. So keep in mind, if we leave this middle place empty, Java will replace this place with true. Okay, so middle one will be replaced by compiler with true, Boolean true. So this syntax is perfectly valid syntax, but will be the output of this for loop. As this for loop, the condition will remain true. For loop will go in infinite loop. What it means is this loop will never ends. It will keep on running until unless we are not forcing it to stop. So we will see this syntax practically. So for practical purpose, I am using this software called Edit Plus, and for beginners, I will recommend to use this editor because it will give you more command on syntax and all. Okay, so I'm writing same thing here. For loop, I haven't provided any value SOUT. Now, if I'm running this program, so it is printing high. How many times? Infinite times. You can see here. It is keep on running. Okay. To stop this one, we need to explicitly kill this for loop. Now we'll move to next example. In this example, instead of initializing any our counter here on first place, I am initializing one string value here. Okay, but initialization I have moved outside of for loop. So if we recall our discussion, but we told first statement can be any valid Java statement. So this declaration of a string variable is perfectly fine here. We will see it practically. I have written the same thing here. Now we will try to compile it. Perfectly fine. If we run this one, so we got output up to 10. We'll move to next example now. In this example, what we did here, we are initializing a variable and checking the condition. But we left increment and decrement as blank. And inside body of the loop, we have given SOUT as well as we are increment the variable. So we will apply our rule here. So first statement is perfectly valid, second is perfectly valid, and third one is also valid because empty is valid Java statement here. SOUT hello, then increment is happening here. So this is perfectly fine for loop syntax. Okay, so what will be the output? It will be same 0 to 10. We are having same example. Now we'll compile it. It will compile perfectly fine. It's giving us output. In next example, what we did here, instead of condition directly we have provided boolean true here. Okay, so as we discussed in first example, true is perfectly valid statement here. But what will be the problem here? Our loop will run infinite time. So here is the example. We are compiling it. Now running it. See, our loop is running infinite times. In this case, again, we need to kill this loop. Move to next example now. In next example, what we will do, we will this true value we will replace with false. Now we'll see what will happen to a program. And then we will discuss why it happened. We are changing true to false here. Now we are compiling. Let's see. Okay, we got compile time error here. Why we got this error? Let's see in our program. Okay, if we see here logically, this is false. It means this condition will never get true here. It means whatever the body we are providing for this for loop, that will never get executed. By keeping this in mind, compiler is giving us a compile time error, that whatever the body you have provided to this for loop, that will never get executed. So that's why in this case we got compile time error. Okay, now we will see next case. In this case, we are two int variables x and y. X value is 5 and y value is 6. And we are putting these using these two variables and evaluating the expression. So if we see here, x is 5 and y is 6. This condition is true. Body of for loop will executed. It will print hello. So we'll see practically what will happen here. Okay, so if we run this program, let's see what is the output. Here in SOUT statement, instead of hello, we are printing hi with counter variable. Okay, but this loop is running infinite times. Why this is happening? We'll see our code. If you observe here in condition, we have provided x and y, but nowhere we are incrementing or decrementing these variables. Okay, so what it means is its value is never going to be changed, and whatever the condition was there in starting, that will remain there. But was the situation there, 5 is less than 6, and that will remain true because we are not doing any kind of increment and decrement for these variables. That's why our loop went in infinite. If we are reversing the condition, now 5 is greater than 6, this condition is false. And based on our previous, while running this program, this whether we are getting compile time error or we are getting anything else. Okay, if we run this program, first I am compiling it, compile perfectly fine. And if we are running, we will not get this SOUT statement. Why this is not printed? Why it didn't give us a compile time error? if you see here, have given variable x and y in this case. We haven't provided false directly, and this expression will be evaluated at runtime. In previous case, directly we have provided false. It means that value will never get changed. But here we are using variables. It may happen in some part of the program we are changing the value of these variables. This is perfectly fine. Now we will see one another example where these two variables x and y we will declare as final. So final, same condition, x is greater than y, false. So in previous condition, in previous case what it gave us, it didn't give us any kind of compile time error and program ran perfectly fine, although we didn't get any output. So if this happened with this case as well, we'll see practically first. So we are compiling the program. Again we got compile time error. Why we got this error? Let's see. As we have declared this x and y as final variable, so what final keyword means? Final keyword means once initialization happen of these variables, its value will never get changed. Okay, but it means compiler is perfectly safe if it will evaluate this expression at compile time, because by using keyword we are ensuring the compiler that value of these variables will never get changed. That's why in this case compiler replace the value of x and y and evaluate the expression. If it is returning false, then same case implies on this one, which case if we are giving this false condition, this body of the loop will never get executed. That's why it is giving us compile time error, that unreachable statements. I hope this is clear. Now we will see the next example. In this example, what we did here, I'm initializing a variable, then we are giving condition and increment perfectly fine. But what I did is I haven't provided curly braces here, and the statement next provided is declaration statement here. So what will be the output in this case? We'll see practically first, then we will discuss. If we compile this program, you see, so we got a compile time error here, variable declaration not allowed here. So what for loop is telling in this case, that if we are not providing any curly braces here and we are giving one statement that is also a declaration statement, then there is no meaning of giving this statement. Why? Because this statement, this variable is never get used in our program. But if we are giving curly braces here, then there may be a chance that we are using this variable, although we are not using. But in that case, compiler will think, okay, here curly braces is there, it means there may be a chances of one and more statements. So maybe in somewhere this value of this variable is used. But if we are not giving curly braces, then definitely sure that there is only a one statement. So there is no meaning of declaring a variable if we are not using it. Instead of variable declaration, if we are doing any SOT statement, that will be perfectly fine. We are printing something, or if we are evaluating anything. Now see here, if we are giving curly braces here, our program is compiling perfectly fine. So now we are left with one example, and that example is homework to you people. Thank you everyone. Please subscribe my channel.